Welcome back to Rank and File Sports, where we are grading every single NFL draft class based on three categories. First of all, we're going to grade based off of whether or not the team drafted the players that fit their needs for next season, as well as the overall talent that they got, just assessing the draft class as a whole. And then finally, the value. Is each player worth where they were drafted at? Were they a steal at that position, or did the team maybe reach a little bit and not get as good a value as they could have if they had traded the pick? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give them an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Arizona Cardinals going into this draft needed an edge rusher, wide receiver, cornerback, offensive guard, and defensive tackle. And they started this draft off in the right way, drafting a defensive tackle right where they needed to. They got Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, the overall number three defensive tackle in this draft, but prior to him, both defensive tackles ahead of him got drafted. They got him right where he was projected to go. Huge pickup for this Cardinals team.
Yeah, and how about with their second round pick, getting a first round, and not just first round, a top 10 talent in Will Johnson out of Michigan. He fell a little bit because of his injury. But to be honest, this is an absolute steal for the Cardinals, and I think it's going to pan out incredibly well. Two amazing picks to start off this draft.
Yeah, I would argue Will Johnson's probably the best cornerback in this draft class. I know Travis Hunter was technically ranked the number one corner, but I think Will Johnson's size just makes him such a tough job for wide receivers to get around him and try to make any catches. He's got elite ball skills as well. So huge pick for the Cardinals there. Third round, they addressed yet another need, getting Jordan Birch, an edge rusher out of Oregon. I think this is once again an incredibly valuable pick. He was ranked overall at 49, was the eighth edge rusher. This edge rusher class was very deep this year, so they were bound to get an edge rusher at some point, but they did the right thing and took one of them earlier on so they could get a high level talent. I think Jordan Birch is going to be a great addition to this Cardinals defense, along with Walter Nolan in that first round.
Yeah, and then their fourth round pick, going ahead and taking Cody Simon out of Ohio State. He's a really, really good linebacker. Led Ohio State's team in tackles in 2024. I think he's going to fit right in on this Arizona defense. This is another really, really good pick and really good value as well.
And then they kept it going, taking Denzel Burke in the fifth round. We're gonna have to start calling Arizona the Arizona Buckeyes or the Ohio State Cardinals because they have so many Ohio State players on their team now. Denzel Burke, I think, is yet another great pick. I don't think it was too much of a reach if it was a reach at all. His big thing is that he's a little bit undersized, but still has really good ball skills and is a great slot corner. So I think he's going to fit right in, especially taking Will Johnson earlier. You got your outside guy to take on the number one wide receivers. Now you got your shiftier slot guy to take care of those faster or more technical wide receivers, especially in a division that is pretty loaded at the wide receiver position. So, yet again, a great pick by the Cardinals.
Yeah, and then next up, going and taking Hayden Connor out of Texas. They did address the offensive guard need here, but this is definitely a reach. He was right on the border of being drafted or not. So I'm not too sure about this one. But since they're addressing a need at the guard position, it's really not a terrible pick. It just might end up hurting their value grade a tiny bit in the end.
And then in the seventh round, they just went with the best talent available and they took Kitan Crawford out of Nevada, a safety. Once again, an absolute steal getting him. When I say best available or most talented, he was overall ranked 146, the 11th safety in this class, and they got him in the early seventh round. Once again, just an incredible value pick for someone that they could develop into a star.
Yeah, overall, we're gonna go ahead and give him an A minus for the needs. didn't end up drafting a wide receiver. I'm not sure how bad they needed one. So that really doesn't hurt them that much. I mean, still an A minus, very good draft grade, especially we've seen some teams not really address their needs at all. The talent grade, this is going to be an A. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Birch, Simon, Burke, Hayden Connor's the only questionable pick here. So all of these guys are incredibly talented. I would be shocked if they didn't all see the field this season. So great draft class talent wise and value wise, it's also going to be an A. The only thing keeping this from an A plus was that Hayden Connor pick where they did reach a bit to get that guard out of Texas. But overall, an A draft class for the Cardinals. Absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, the Cardinals had one of the best draft classes of all the teams this year. Nailed pretty much every single pick. Like you said, got pretty much every single need that they were to go after. Wide receiver, maybe they could have got one other wide receiver, considering that their number two and number three wide receivers aren't as talented. And Marvin Harrison Jr. did start off a little bit slow, had his ups and downs, but definitely could have got an extra weapon for him, for Kyler Murray to use. But overall, considering what they had available to them, they knocked this out of the park. Just a 10 out of 10 draft class for the Cardinals here. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos, and we will see you in the next one.